Welcome back to This Week at MBE. Just laying out a manifold here. So we're going to start with this. This is a Big 9 setup. The customer didn't want to go with the billet, which is perfectly fine. We ported these manifolds, these 28001s and 002s for I don't know, many years. So we're laying this one out. A lot of things has to happen when we lay this out. We have to cut the flanges. You can see the flanges that have been cut. So all that's included in the porting cost is the cutting of the flanges, the fitting of it all, and the one thing also is getting the bolt holes to line up. As you can see, they're not perfect. And what's odd is if you do a Brodex, a Profiler, a Dart, all these bolt holes are off. They're all off about 100 thousandths from each other. Not any of us do it the same. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. So part of doing that is slotting the bolt holes and everything, so when you get it, it goes on and you're not in there with a file trying to get everything to fit, because that is annoying and it takes time. So we do all that here. So that's part of the cost and the porting and things like that. And then we have, so this is normally aspirated EFI with the billet heads. So I think this thing's going to be super cool. You know, I'm always a fan of normally aspirated. I always feel like it separates the men from the boys. And you know, the billet valley tray is finished. You can see that the manifold doesn't go down, but you can see in here we'll have to slot this, you know, in the mill. Everything will look nice, and then this will sit flat correctly. But it's not just the manifold fits. It's not that simple. Also, you can see there's no bolt holes in it, so we put all the bolt holes in it and we make it fit whichever application it is for. But always eye candy with the billet heads. You got a head that flows 500 CFM, 2320 intake valve in a small block. That's 2320 in a small block, inch 580 on the exhaust side. Might sound small, but you'd be surprised what that exhaust port can do with inch 580. And so let's go over here. And you can see we got a pallet of 18s come in. So the 18-degree max pulls, and then we have three different ports for that. So we have one for it's real small that we do for the Northeast Modifieds, or just smaller cubic inch, lower RPM. And then we have the 2420 valve stuff that we sold since 2011, and then the new top 2500 valve stuff. So we can put any of these programs in there. All the guide locations are different on all of those, so we can take advantage of everything on it. And nice thing about this, we get these raw, so we can move the spark plug, we can move the guide boards, we can move everything. And of course we had a set of Big 9s come in. I shouldn't say we had a bunch of Big 9s come in, and then these are all John at CID. We had a bunch of his castings come in. So all these will go through Op 1. And as you can see, there's pretty much nothing done to these. So if you come on this side, Bigs can go on that side. So all that'll be machined and ready to go. So what we're trying to do is, just like you should be thinking about, is we have to try and stay ahead of it with our vendors. Some of this stuff will be on order for four or 5 months. So we have a constant order to try and stay ahead of it. So we can get out product in November and December and January. And you as customers need to look at that and be prepared to get your orders in sooner. If you want to be racing in January and February, you seriously need to start looking at this now, because you have valves 10 to 12 weeks. We have the One Rocker Company that's at 10 to 12 weeks also. We have the other one that's at 20 to 22. So all of this is not because the vendors don't know how to do their job. It's because they're overwhelmed or they can't get materials and things like that. So try and stay ahead of it just like I am. Okay? And we'll come over here. We got, here's some of the 18 max pulls right here. So here's a set. So these haven't been valve jobbed yet. These are just straight off the machine. So you can see them. We'll valve job all this and it'll look nice. And that's a set of max pulls right there. You can see all the valves have been rotated. Anything we can do to take advantage of all of that. The spark location is different. All of that has been moved to accompany all of this turning. And that's a definite advantage that we're able to do that and that we know how to do it. That's the other thing. And so this is stuff we service. This has been a customer of ours in Washington State. So this stuff comes from all the way across the country. He's been a customer of ours, I think, since 2006 or even earlier. But we service all the cylinder heads, so these have to be valve job now. So everything's. But what we did was, because these are on salt water in a boat, they had all this degradation here, and you'll see in the pictures that Big is putting up right now. But so we went and welded all this up. So now the head gasket's going to fit properly and everything. And the nice part about this customer, I don't have to call him. He just says, if it's right, just do it. So this way we made everything nice for him, and you can see now it looks like a brand new cylinder head. And you can see all the weld that we did have to do. All right, so these will be shipped out probably next week. We got the other 3 sets finished for him, so he sent 4 sets to be serviced. So waiting on valves on 1 set, but other than that, all good. And then you can see over here we have one of the epochs. So once a year, Bob will come out. Bob, who works here, does all the maintenance on these. Bob is very meticulous, to say the least, and that's why he's perfect to do this. So he didn't feel like it was machining properly, so he brought a stethoscope, and Dave Selvig, who works here, had this, and they just started listening and trying to find out where the vibration was coming from, because we all know a vibration can start up here, but we hear it here, or we feel it here, and everything like that. Well, they figured out it had a bearing going bad in it. So while he was doing that, he's just going to go over the whole machine. We replace shocks in it, and he'll go through the whole thing. And surprisingly, Bob will have this back together on Monday. So it's like a day and a half worth of work. Not a lot of work, but you certainly have to know what you're doing to do this. And then it'll be perfect again. And luckily, we have 2. So, and that one's running perfect. And then we'll come over here. So we got a set of big 9s that are ready to go. This would be for like a light nitrous, so probably around a 400 shot of nitrous. So this just has a soft chamber, not the anti-deto. So it'll work fine on that. You know, anything over 5, 6, 7, 800, 1,000 horsepower nitrous, you know, the anti-deto is always a good idea, especially if you're not comfortable with your tuning. It just makes things a lot easier for you. And they run great with the anti-deto also. Okay, so we got those. And then, so this is a set of LS BR7s from Brodex. We did a little update on them in the porting and the chamber. They were having problems burning it up and the valves breaking. So this thing has been, it broke valves 2 different times, and only after about 100 runs. So what we noticed is that it didn't have enough valve spring on it, for one. The problem is you can't buy parts for this 500 guide because this is based on stock LS. So when this goes on here, it doesn't locate it. So the spring's walking all around, all over the place. What we're going to do for this customer is we're going to machine spacers. Biggs went and got the aluminum on Friday, and Dave is going to machine the spacers, and then the seal is going to go on top and hold this on there so this doesn't move. So the ID locator actually acts as a locator instead of just a shim. So all this will be finished. Making a big move on this for the customer, where we can put a very nice dual string on it, where this should fix their whole problem. It's going to a spring like this compared to the spring that they had. I'm not sure where the spring they had was, but anyways, this will definitely control the lofting that they were having issues on. Part of the problem is this has an Inconel exhaust valve in it, so it's a lot of weight, and these guys are running 8,800 RPM. So that at 8,800 RPM with all that valve weight, it's just causing the lifter to just to launch off the ramp, and then you're not controlling it, and the valve, and then the lifter comes down and it bangs into the camshaft and sends all the vibrations up through it, breaks the valve spring, breaks the valve, engine failure, 15 grand down the tube. So I believe we're going to have all this handled for him. A new customer of ours. It's like the 5th job we've done for him this year. We definitely really enjoy working with him. He's a smart guy, and he just wants things right, and those are always the best. Those are the easiest. Another thing we got to get back to is, you know, making sure that everybody's prepared. We keep putting more and more valve springs on the shelf for our customers, so we can get jobs out, so we can ship jobs out. Or if our customer needs a set of valve springs and they're racing, because there's just supply issues. There's nothing we can do about it, but you know what you can do? You can be prepared. And so we have put tens of thousands of dollars in inventory. We have more coming now. I just placed another PO for a bunch of them. But that way we'll be prepared so cylinder heads can leave here. and the people can go race. So that's the important thing there. But you be prepared too, and really think about getting your order in as soon as possible. I'm not pushy. I'm just telling you. If you want to race in January, you need to be thinking about this now. And any very good engine builder will tell you the same thing. You know, don't force you not being organized to not race. Anyways, that's a whole different. All right. But anyways, that's this week at MBE. So thank you for joining us, and have a great weekend.